Last week on the same day, I talked to two different remodeling company owners, and I asked them about their gross profit margin. Their answers were pretty amazing. I'm going to share it with you in just a moment. Hi, I'm Victoria Downing, and welcome to this week's Power Tips, where we talk about tips, tactics, and techniques to help you build a strong, consistently profitable remodeling business. Now, as I mentioned, last week I talked to two different remodelers on the same day. Now, whenever I'm talking to remodeling company owners, I ask them about their gross profit margin because that's such a key indicator of success of the business. One of the things I'm trying to get to when I ask them about their gross profit margin is how they're developing the sales price that they present to the consumer, to the prospect. Now, in some cases, the remodeling company owner just doesn't know. They don't have a clue what their gross profit margin is. In other cases, they do know, and that's great. Now, as a quick overview, gross profit is the money that's left over from the sales price after you've paid for all of your job costs. So that gives you a dollar figure that's left over. In order to determine what the margin is, the gross profit margin, you take those dollars and divide it by the sales price, which will give you a percentage. That's your gross profit margin. So back to my call with the two remodelers. So in turn, right, I asked them, what's your gross profit margin? They both knew, so that was really good. But their answers were crazy. One of them told me that he was targeting and hitting a 45% gross profit margin on average on the jobs he was selling this year. The second remodeler aiming for and hitting 24% gross margin. Pretty big difference. It's really amazing to think two companies doing the same kind of work, delivering the same kind of service would have such dramatically different gross profit margins. Now, who do you think was making more money, right? The gentleman who was reaching the 45% gross profit. That gross profit trickled down to cover all of the overhead, resulting in higher personal income for that remodeler and a much greater net profit at the end of the day. Now, some of you are saying, there is no way I can get 45% gross profit margin in my market. And I'm here to tell you that that is a bunch of hooey. You can get whatever gross profit margin you need to cover your job costs, to cover your overhead, to pay yourself decently, and end up with a net profit in any market in the United States. Now, the kicker here is the guy who was aiming for and getting that 45% gross profit margin was selling work all throughout the suburbs of Detroit, the city that just went bankrupt. Now, if he can sell and get margins in suburbs of Detroit, you should be able to get them in any flippin' city you're in. So there's no excuses. Now I want to end with one comment. There is no one gross profit margin or no one right sales price for every company. It depends on the way you have structured your business. So it's totally unique to you and your company. Now, your company, you may not need 45% in order to cover your overhead, pay yourself well, have enough employees so you're not working your butt off, and still have a solid, healthy net profit at the end of the line. You may not need 45%. In your case, you have to determine what your gross profit needs to be to deliver all those benefits and develop your sales price from there. There's really no one right gross profit margin for every remodeling company out there. If you're leaner, you don't need as high of a gross profit in order to make the profits that you need. But I have to say, when I look at the key metrics of the people who are in our community, they do tend to have gross profit margins that range from 30% to around the high of around 45% gross profit margin. You more than likely need to fall somewhere in that range, more than likely. Maybe you're an exception, but start out, be safe, look at your margins. If they're not within that professional range, you may be selling your projects too cheap and not covering all the expenses and delivering the profit that you need. So it might be time for a change. So, having a bit of trouble believing you can get the margins you need? Tell you what, go ahead and complete the form to the side and sign up for a free business review with one of our experts. We'll show you what it looks like and how you compare to others. If you've got other tips to share, you want to discuss this whole issue, please put some comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Secondly, if you haven't subscribed to Power Tips yet, please do. We'd love to have you watching us. We'd love to have you watching us every week.
You always point the wrong side, man.
Sorry.
Don't you see it? It's right there next to you.
Yeah. We need something over there. If you have other, so what am I pointing at now? I'm pointing at the comment box?
Well, you were just saying subscribe.
Oh, subscribe. So if this is your first time at Power Tips, please subscribe. We'd love to have you watching every week.
See, don't point it out.
That's right.
The heck with it.
That's right. Exactly.